Thea, thank you for taking a few minutes to talk with me about Handling the Undead. I saw it at Sundance. I really liked it for a zombie movie that's a bit somber, bit downbeat. But I actually like that about it. So this is based on the John Althus book. I'm probably butchering his last name too. What was it about the book that made you want to adapt that story?
I think it was the very like realistic way that he approached the premise,
Hmm.
uh, and that it was not really about like why it happened or but it was more about how the characters got their impossible wish of getting their loved ones back, like how he explored that. And I love how he blends the supernatural with the realistic, and it's done in a very like quite downplayed way, even though the book is a bit bigger because it also inhabits the how the society deals with it and the
Right.
politicians, and it's like a bit bigger in that sense. But which is also lovely, but it just couldn't fit everything into to a feature. But I think in general, his story and his characters and the premises and this like blend of I don't know, it's just some melancholy, I think, over all his
Mm.
stories and some isolation and loneliness and longing that really attracts me, but with this like unsettling spice to it. Yeah.
Yeah. Is this a genre that you usually find, do you find yourself kind of gravitating to at all?
Yes, or I made a short film called Children of Satan, and
Hmm.
that's when I found out I really like to blend in a little bit of genre into the stories, and that it's I don't know. For me, making cinema is a lot about like also the like creating the cinematic world and the atmosphere and this whole like package, and not just like the story and just covering that, but just like telling the story through like sound, images, and the mise en scène. So doing that short film, I found out that adding like a little bit of genre actually makes sense to like heighten it a little bit or just like making a little bit more out of it. So that's when I really started to, and also because I had read one of his books that I love so much. It's called Little Star. That is also like this blend of gore and realism or social realism. So yes, I found out that I really much like to work in this space. Yeah.
It's interesting to listen to you talk about the use of sound and all that because there is very little dialogue in the film. It's one of the things I actually like about it. It's more of a telling, not showing, not telling thing that I really like about the film. Talk to me about your kind of approach to that. Was that what you were looking for? Something you're specifically aiming to do?
Yes, so I was like aiming to have as little dialogue as possible, and of course there were more in the script at different stages. But then also since we're like following three different storylines and they're supposed to like link together somehow, and the minute the character, or I found at least like when they started to talk about something else, it kind of like drew us away from what was really happening because what's
Hmm.
happening is so big and huge, and we have so little time with each character. So if they were starting to talk about like way different things, it just felt offbeat somehow. But then also like I found out that if they started to talk about what was happening, then it took away a lot of the magic somehow because they would punctuate everything that happened and make like diminish it because and a lot of the lines would be very cliche because how are you supposed to say out loud like they woke from the grave or like they woke from the dead or without it being like you heard it so many
Right.
times and it doesn't work and it's just like okay that's what happened and then the magic is over somehow. So even though like the idea was to have a little dialogue and tell as much of the story like through the mise en scène and the sound and the camera movements and all of that, I found that also a lot of the dialogue just became not superficial, but it didn't add much. So
Mm.
this some of the scenes in the film we played out with dialogue first, and then we took it away, and we found out that like we got as much out of the scene without the dialogue, or like the, and also had amazing actors that were able to portray a lot of what they were supposed to say just with how they acted in the room. So the intention was to have as little dialogue as possible, but maybe it turned out to be even less dialogue than I first thought. But yeah.
What you wrote? You worked with the author on the screenplay as well, right? What was he also in favor of the minimalist approach to the dialogue? And what was it like for you two to collaborate on this?
Yeah, or so the thing was that he adapted actually the book 15 years ago for another director.
Oh
Uh,
wow.
but that never got made, so I inherited that script, and then he was generous to give me the permission to rewrite it how I wanted it, and then just send it to him for like approval. But then I think that he maybe didn't actually realize that how little dialogue it was until just before going into production. He did like a read through for the rest of the crew because he's such a good like reader. So and then he was like reading, and then we had the actors on, so they were gonna say like their lines.
Yeah.
And then he was like, after 10 minutes, he was like, "Whoa, no one else is gonna say anything here." So I didn't realize, and then suddenly you have like one actor coming in like Anna, and then out. But so I think it was a bit maybe shocked first because also he's worked with these characters for so long, and in the books there's a lot of interior dialogue or monologue, and of course you get more information about the actors or the characters in the book than you get in the film. But in the end, he's very happy with how the film turned out. But I don't know, maybe would have liked more dialogue. But then again, like the dialogue, it didn't add anything. So why tell
Yeah,
something with words if you don't need to? Yeah.
I completely agree. Did you when you were developing the script, did you have the actors in mind when you were doing that? Did you have specific people in your head?
Absolutely. So we were almost, or maybe, going to make this film back in 2019, but then with a more original script. But luckily we didn't. And so I did a lot of the casting back then. So then I casted the grandfather, I casted the understanding the father, and I casted the mother that's dying, and the living old lady. Yeah, but at that point, Renata was pregnant, so she couldn't do the audition. So I didn't really find who to play that character. But then I wrote or rewrote the script with all these other people in mind, and then I casted Renata like 1.5 year prior to shooting. So, and then when I had casted her, her audition gave me so much insight also to the character, actually.
Mhm.
So it became much easier to write her character as well after she was casted. So yeah, I think that really helped for me to know that they would all act, and also because they're so. I mean, I think I have like the finest actors out of Norway, and they're all really good. And that's I wanted them to be like good dramatic actors because or the way that I was supposed to do the film, because it's such like a absurd premise, and I really didn't want it to be like a comedic film or yeah. So I needed the really good actors to be able to play this absurd premise with like a truth to it. Yeah.
Well, I think you did a fantastic job. I wish you the best of luck with the film. Handling the Undead opens here tomorrow, May 31st. So looking forward to seeing more reactions to the film. And like I said, congratulations on it and good luck.
Thank you. Nice to speak to you.
Thank you for taking the time. Thanks for checking out the show. If you like what we're laying down, please subscribe to our channel and click the bell to receive notifications for all of our latest stuff.